Well, good evening to all of you. Once again, welcome to the Polsky Practical Personal Enrichment Series. I'm Emily Bierman. And I just want to remind you, first of all, if we could silence all cell phones or pagers so we don't disturb anyone during the program. Thank you. The Polsky Practical Personal Enrichment Series is underwritten by the Norman and Elaine Polsky Family Supporting Foundation within the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation in partnership with Johnson County Community College. It includes topics which aren't being offered anywhere else where successful local professionals share their knowledge to benefit you. Norman Elaine Polsky's name graces this wonderful Polsky Theater where we meet for these series about 6 or 7 times a year. And we want to thank Norman and Elaine for their generosity, which also brings you the series. Norman and Elaine support organizations across Kansas City and all over the country. They enrich our community and communities around the world with their philanthropy. And Norman is on stage with us tonight, so I'd also like to acknowledge Norman's family members that are in the audience with us this evening. Larry and Ellen and Renee and there they are.
Jennifer.
And Jennifer's here. I'd like to take a quick moment to acknowledge our JCCC TV and Carlson Center production crews for their help with tonight's program. And of course, you can see I'm going to be assisting Norman throughout the program this evening. And the first thing I'd like to do is take you through the packet that you were handed when you entered the theater tonight. This is for you to take home and share with your family. And because we'll be focused pretty much on the right side of the packet tonight, I'm not going to go through all of that right now. But I do want to remind you about a couple of things that are there. One is the blue question card. So if you have if you have a question for Norman at any point in the program, if you would write it on the card and hand it to an usher, the ushers will be going around and collecting these. And during the last 30 minutes or so of the program, we'll ask Norman all those questions. He wants me to let you know if for any reason we don't get to some of these questions, if you would put your name and phone number on the back, he'd be happy to give you a call if he's able in the next week or so. So please send us your questions. The other thing in the packet is a green survey card. That's something that we'd like to ask you to fill out before you leave this evening to give us a little bit of feedback on the program that you've seen and the amenities that we offer you as far as parking. We have punch and cookies in the lobby and other snacks for you, and it's a great social time, so if there are other suggestions you'd like to make on the program, the green card is the place to do that. And please hand those to an usher before you leave this evening. And Norman always likes me to say, and we need 100% of those back. And I have to shake my head when I say that, so get them in. Thank you. Now, on the left side of your packet, we have 3 pieces of information. One is survival planning, which is our next Polsky seminar. That'll be held on Wednesday, April the 7th. That's 2 weeks from tonight with Ed Marquette. Again, 7:30 here in the Polsky Theater. Ed is a partner with Sonnenschein, Nath & Rosenthal law firm. He is very much a specialist in the areas of property management, wealth preservation, and technology and intellectual property. And as you can see, there are 5 bullet points here on the flyer about what Ed will cover when he's here. Did you want me to read all of those too? I'm going to read those to you now. 501c3 survival, nonprofit organization survival in these changing times. Don't let the judge decide your estate. 2010 Roth IRA conversion opportunities. Why and how to protect your privacy, and how to overcome handicaps through technology. So again, tickets are free. Seats are limited, so you can call tomorrow for tickets to that program if you'd like and make a reservation. Also on the left side of the packet, a lavender sheet detailing Norman and Elaine Polsky's biographical information, their accomplishments throughout their lives. And this includes a list of all of the foundation, the Polsky Foundation endowments that the Polsky family currently supports. So as you can see, you're up to what now, 48?
44.
44.
Kicked out 5.
You kicked out 5, so you're down to 44 endowments. So as you can see, Johnson County Community College has been very...
Look at some of the... I have Bob Renier as one of our trustees. Peggy Dunn, the mayor's our trustee. You'll look on the side. They're very important people. People that want to take action 501c3s, so we have 44 of them. They're going to be in trouble if they don't merge and so forth, and Ed Marquette's going to talk about them. And they've got to learn to be involved in investments and what happens every year, get a report. Okay.
Okay, so moving on. That's your list of endowments. And then the last thing on the left side is the green sheet that has information about kindness and Reaching Out from Within, which is a nonprofit organization supported by the Polskys. And I think Sue Ellen Freed is still involved with that organization, and it stresses kindness in the community. On the back of that sheet are quotes about kindness, so you can take a look at that as well.
Yeah, what's his name?
The Dalai Lama?
The Dalai Lama says, "My religion is simple. My religion is kindness." Mark Twain says, the deaf can hear and the blind can see kindness. Mark Twain. You've got Churchill and all the rest of those quotes. Good to read to your kids.
Okay, Norman also wanted me to mention to you tonight that we do have some books for sale in the lobby. Harry S. Truman, The Man Who Walked with Giants, and I have one of those here. When you see this from a distance, you might think it's Where the Wild Things Are, but it's not. It's about Harry Truman, and it's beautifully illustrated. It's by David Melton, who I believe is a local author, and his daughter helped put this together.
30 years ago, I found that in the library of Truman Library there, and they were sold for $30. I've got a special deal with Johnson County Community College and with the Truman Library and myself. We bought 3,000 books so that we can sell them for $10. Your parents and your grandparents would love this. In fact, most of you wouldn't be alive today if it hadn't been for Harry S. Truman dropping the 2 bombs. I was a line infantry officer in the Marine Corps World War II, and I'm proud to be in the Marines. And freedom is not free. You have to earn it. And he sure did. He saved 2 million of us, including me. I'd have been 5 minutes on the beach, my life expectancy. And he saved 6 million Japanese. 8 million people would have been died if he didn't drop the bombs. And all of his advisors advised him not to. He was he went out of office with the lowest rating of any president because he fired MacArthur. MacArthur in Korea, the Chinese came down, which MacArthur said they wouldn't. Then MacArthur wanted him to put the atom bomb on the Chinese, and he wouldn't do it. Instead, he fired MacArthur. So old soldiers fade away, and that was good riddance.
We also have a book by Adam Bold.
Yeah.
And it's a brand new book, The Truth About Investing 10 Commandments for Building Personal Wealth. And if you don't find a copy at the table, we can take your name and address, and we'd be happy to mail you one.
And this is the book I was going to write, but he beat me to it. It's got everything in there. Are your brokers and advisors, are they working for you or are they working for themselves? They charge a fee, and the more they build your account, the more money you'll make, and the more money they make. So everything in there is what I was going to write. Good book. Only, what, $10?
$10 for each book tonight.
Okay.
He probably came to one of your seminars and, you know,
I've had he and Peter Newman every year. In fact, out of all of my endowments, I've got good people that can come and willing to share their knowledge with you. Of all the 44 endowments we have, this Polsky series is the best one because it educates from people that have been successful and willing to share with you. There's nobody else doing that. And incidentally, these papers here that we're going to go through, we can't cover it all, so she will just cover and tell you which numbers, and you mark out with your pencil what's the important one. But we're not going to cover it all. Just make you understand how valuable these papers are, and take them to Kinko and make copies, and give them to all your friends and your great-grandchildren so they'll know your tradition and what you're standing for. You know, a lot of people, kids today, until they're 20 years old, they think their parents don't really have good advice, but they'll listen to an aunt or an uncle or somebody like me, a better chance than, I'm sure some of you have experienced that sort of thing. So the main thing we want to do is get you to take these home, make copies, get them to your great-grandchildren, and we'll try to cover what we can. We can only spend about 5 minutes with each page. I'd like to clear up what is YPO. YPO stands for Young Presidents Organization. Anytime you can't hear me, holler out louder, okay? Or Emily, just holler louder. It is a quiet international association that has several purposes. Although I made stacking chairs, we share ideas with each other, even, no matter what business. We had taxes, we had the government, we had employees, we had how to get sales, how to make profit, how to manage your business. And then every month they had a seminar for one whole week with the greatest resources in the world. And I'll tell you about some of the ones that I had. But I've only included 13 of the 50. I attended more seminars than anybody in the history of YPO because I found out how good it was. I want to clear up one other thing. Last time I talked was in September, and I talked about what does it take to be successful. And this one last question was, I've got all the characteristics to be successful, but I don't have mazel. Mazel means in Yiddish, luck. Everybody's got to have luck. All of you in this room are American citizens. That's lucky. All of you, incidentally, my grandfather on my father's side was a Cossack. He deserted, took his wife Fanny and his son, my father, 7 years old, and his brother 5, and came to America and didn't know anything on English. But he started a junkyard, and he knew who to give a bottle of whiskey to at TWA, got all their junk business. So
What?
all their junk business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I heard.
It was a junkyard.
I don't understand that. Okay.
Okay. And from that beginning, I'm the firstborn American in the Polsky family. That's a great tradition. It's a great tradition to be proud to be a United States Marine. And so anyway, now, so also you people are lucky to live in Kansas or Missouri, which is the middle states, and we don't have the severe economic and weather problems that they have on the east or the west coast. We're more moderate here. Also, you've got this beautiful Carlson Center by Dr. Charles Carlson, 25 years, with one of the 100 best community colleges in the United States. But then we're very fortunate that we have Terry, the new president.
Terry Callaway.
Terry Callaway, and Marlene is the wife.
Marlene Callaway is his
He's
wife.
carrying on that tradition. We are expanding. Sometime come out and see what they have here. They have a police academy. They have a fire academy. They have the Burlington Railroad thing. They bring a lot of income into this community. And then, of course, I have the Polsky series, which is one of my greatest of all. So mazel you got to have. Okay.
Do you want me to read these points?
And
as
now
we go down
what
the
we're
page?
going to do, we're going to start with, you've got to have two other things. You know, most of us got married because we were infatuated with the most beautiful girl. Well, I married Elaine after World War II because I didn't have to go to the invasion. And we got married on July the 4th, 1946. And I brought her back in 1947. I finished UCLA, and I brought her back to the Far East. I brought her to Kansas City, Missouri. So, and she was a great partner. You've got to have, fortunately, she was my mazel. And if you'll read the background, when she came in, she became the president of this and that, and the first president of our Jewish synagogue in 140 years, woman. And our background is there on the front. We're partners in this philanthropy that we do. When our son Joel died at the age of 26, we had 4 of his important ones, and that started our endowments, and now we have 44. So you got to have mazel, and you got to have mazel also in health care. But you can do something about your health if you'll follow along on this first one. She's going to point them out. We had Dr. Tony Vituro from Canyon Ranch and from YPO. I got this information here. There are certain things you must do to have good health. And some people are born with it and some are handicapped. But you can start with number 1 over there.
I'll start with number 1,
and
which is...
You mark out in front number 1. She'll call out the number.
So make some notes if you'd like. Take care of your body. If it wears out, you have no place to live. How true. Eat less, but eat more vegetables and fruit, and weigh yourself daily, which can be scary, but we should do it anyway. Number 3, exercise, at least walk fast 30 minutes or 10,000 steps a day with a pedometer, or use weights or machines at least once a week. Number 6, stay flexible with yoga or Tai Chi with stretching and practice balance. All these exercises you can do at home or stand on one foot while you brush your teeth. Number 8, maintain mental exercise by reading books and newspapers and keep learning. Turn off the television unless you're watching the Polsky series on Channel 17, Time Warner and Sure West.
You know, I don't have sound anymore on 17. Time Warner, I don't know what's happened.
We got to call somebody. Somebody in the TV department should look into that.
Okay.
Don't be too proud. Number 13, don't be too proud to use a walker to prevent falling, which can break brittle bones as you age. And Norman has mentioned to me, this is one of the biggest problems that causes people to have to go in and out of nursing care and hospitals, is just having a fall. So be careful and don't be too proud to get assistance.
Yeah, it's not the wrong drugs or poor service or anything like that. People try to get out of bed themselves, or they're too proud and you hear about it all the time. They break a hip, they're 80 years old, they go in and have an operation, and a year later they die.
Number 18, don't retire at age 65 and invest wisely to attain financial independence past the age of 100 without having to worry about money. It's better to be old and rich instead of old and poor. I think we would all agree with that statement.
Okay, and I'm supposed
And then you added one, right?
Yeah, but I'm supposed to be retired. I'm working 12 hours a day on what I have.
You got to take a vacation or something.
Well, I did. I was in the hospital on Monday
That's
and
not
Tuesday
a vacation.
of last week. They don't let you sleep in the hospital.
Norm was in the hospital. He called me last week and he said, so I'm at Menorah and I'm thinking for the seminar next week, here's what we got to do.
All right,
So,
another
okay.
thing I just learned, my specialist doctor now that I had, incidentally, write this down, preferred, they call it preferred doctors. You pay $1,500. When you get to be 70, 80, you really ought to get them, because a lot of doctors today, on internists, will not accept new Medicare patients. 5 years ago, they wouldn't accept new Medicaid patients. And what's going to happen in the future, I don't know. But anyway, he's a specialist, and he got me to one of the country's best dietitians. And she took all my medicines and supplemental medicines, and she told me what to take, what to throw out. And one of the things she really taught me was carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are good and are bad. Carbohydrates are bad. And fibers are good. And fibers subtract from the carbohydrates, so that no one meal should have more than 50 net carbohydrates. And orange juice, which we've all been taught to drink, and milk, which we've been taught to drink. Orange juice, a glass of orange juice has 40 net carbohydrates. So you already used up your whole meal for breakfast. So don't pay attention to all that kind of stuff.
So you had 2 cereals you were going to recommend
Yeah.
for fiber.
Okay, ready to go to the next one?
Do you want to talk about the cereal?
Who?
Raisin Bran and Fiber One with rice milk.
Yeah, I eat now
That's what he
Raisin
told me.
Bran. That's got bran, and then I eat. There's a lot of fiber ones. Get the one that has 51% fiber one, and mix them together. And I use a special kind of rice milk and stuff, and not the regular 1% and all that stuff. And I use blueberries, and no bananas are bad. Pears are good. Apples are good. But eat a lot of vegetables. Okay.
Okay, so we're moving on. Now, we're going to go to your 10 Commandments. Is that right?
Yeah.
Which is the page that starts out at the top, Norman Polsky, and Norman's titles there following his name. This was part of a speech that he wrote for Some Enchanted Evening. He and Elaine were honored as the Johnson Countyans of the Year by the college in 2006. And so this was part of the speech that Norman gave that night. And originally, he had prepared this for Purdue University. They asked him to come back and be an old master and to share his expertise. And he came up with his daily 10 commandments that he tries to do every day. Now, he asked me to have you mark the things that we're going to read. I'm just going to tell you right now, we're going to read all 10. So if you want to go ahead and mark them ahead of time, you can do that. But starting out with long, hard, fast, organized hours every day, don't waste time. Continued learning, join associations, attend conferences, get a second degree or a master's degree. Build your network of people. Don't burn bridges with anyone. Ethical every day of your life. Do what the right thing is, no matter what. Kindness is contagious, and the golden rule to help others. Obtain a mentor, someone you respect and would like to emulate.
Wait, right there. I was very fortunate. I had fixtures, furniture. I was on the east end of town. I had 5 plants. I had 400 employees. With my son Joel, that died at the age of 26, we doubled every year. We were doing $30 million of volume. And down the street was George Owens. He became my mentor. He would come in and want me to join because I qualified at the age of 40. And I told him, I'm too busy. Finally, he came in and said, Norman, next month you're going to be 44 and you can't get in after that. So I followed his advice, and that's how I got into YPO and learned all this information from the greatest resources in the world. Nobody in YPO has done what I have done, but this is just 13 of them. So he was my mazel, my luck, my mentor. You get a mentor. That's somebody you want to emulate, and go tell them and develop the relationship with you. Bob Bernier is here. We developed banking relations way back when he was with Nate Goldberg over at the bank, and then he went to Bank of America, and then he came out with a trailer. And always get a good banker and stick with them. Bankers and doctors are very important. You take their advice and build relationships. That's awful important. And then what's the next one?
Number 7, physical fitness, positive mental attitude in spite of various cross currents from those who say it can't be done.
Wait a second.
Okay.
This is on the back of that booklet that you have is my creed.
We're gonna get to that.
Principles of professional selling,
Right.
but there is the creed that I took from Abraham Lincoln. And Abraham Lincoln said, you cannot take from the rich and give to the poor. And they're not following that right now, but that's what how we're going to pay.
I thought you
how our
said you weren't
grandkids
going to
are
get
gonna
into
pay, I don't
politics.
know.
He said he wasn't going to get into politics.
Okay. But you
Okay.
know they didn't ask me back as an old master? Isn't that something? Okay, go
Okay.
on.
Okay, number 8, have a sense of humor. I think we have a great example of that. Build your brand. Write your creed. And what Norman was talking about was this book, The Good Principles of Professional Salesmanship. And his creed is it's on the final page of that. It's got his picture at the top. So if you want to take a look at that. And so Purdue never asked you back as an old master
No.
after that?
Now, on this good principles, a lot of you people work for, you have favorite charities and they want you to go out and raise money, but they don't teach you the good principles of selling. This book has them. You've got to go through the 5 steps of the sales motion in this order. And if you get interrupted, you've got to come back and get the attention, interest, evaluation, decision, and closing. And attention is getting their attention if they get interrupted. Interest, what's in it for them? And what are they going to have to give and what are they going to have to give so that you're going through the evaluation with them, helping them make a decision so that you close with the order. Now, that's very important if you're going to go out and raise money. I don't know why 501Cs don't teach selling, the good principle of selling, but you got it there, okay?
Okay, the next sheet in the packet is a manager's investment for results. And did you want to go through all the ones here on this page?
I want to give them a little background on this.
Okay.
Joel came to work for me 10 years, right out of college. And he would come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was there at 5:30. And I say, Joel, I need you. And he said, boy, it's good to be needed. And we made up a plan of what it takes to really manage our business so that we could double every year and get up to 30 million and so forth. And he died unexpectedly. I was in California at a conference. At 2 o'clock in the morning, they called me and told me Joel died. So I'm getting on the plane by myself, and instead of keep asking myself, why? You don't know why God acts that way. But I finished the article, and I wrote this up and finished it, and I've used it in my businesses and my dealers' businesses, and I've taught people all of this sort of thing. And it starts with the jewel, what do you get for being a manager? Those are the first. Many an individual believes they want to be one, and you get all these 9 things that's like a jewel, but you got to give up all of this stuff here, like leadership, and most people will tell you it can't be done. You got not listen to those kind of people. You got to get up and go do it. And so I finished this article. It's got some good advice, and over if you dare to go further.
Now, you asked me to point out letter D, a dozen rules for the person on the way up, especially SOAR, the S-O-A-R. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Situation, observation, alternatives, and recommendations. Offering solutions to problems instead of taking them to the boss and expecting him to solve them for you. Isn't that right?
And write 1-page memos and keep them simple. KIS, keep it simple. Okay. So where do we go from there?
So
Principles.
that's, yeah, letter G, number 1, keep it simple. I spell it with 2 S's, but I'm not going to tell you what the second S is going to stand for. Number 4 under letter G also, a state of the art allows starting at a higher level so you don't reinvent the wheel. Number 6, bring solutions, not problems, which we talked about. Number 9, anticipate adverse consequences with everything you do or say. So think about the worst case scenario, I guess. Number 25, never count on someone else to do it, or don't say, I thought we did that. Number 33, don't trust anybody or figures. Check them yourself. Check it out. Number 39, SOAR, S-O-A-R, develop skills to sell in any company. Number 41, high integrity and ethics with we versus I is expected. Number 42, winners will win. Don't contaminate with losers. Number 43, respect is the only lasting emotion. Earn it, maintain it, and value it.
And most people, your parents included, they'll remember the one time you slip up instead of the other 99 times when you did good. That's how people are. Okay.
So now moving on to time management. So you were telling me when we were talking about this that we all believe that we don't have enough time, but there are things that we can do that will cut back the amount of time we waste so that the time we do have is used more productively. So on the bottom part of this page, it says there are several steps to help you in time management, that last paragraph with several numbered points. The ones we identified: number 2, don't yield to the temptation to clean up small items first. Start the day with the difficult ones, which is hard. That's hard to do. Number 10, don't procrastinate. Solve problems one at a time and finish. Number 16, prepare yourself before a contact. Know why, what, who, where, when, and how. And one thing I told you about, which I know you don't understand because you don't do email, but I've read you should never open your email first thing in the morning. You should wait till 10 o'clock.
Too much junk. Too much junk in the mail, too.
I don't practice that, but I do preach it.
But I keep asking God, I want 30 hours a day. I want 8 days a week. I want seven weeks a month. He won't give it to me. So we all have the same amount of time. It's what you do with it that's important. There's too much wasted time today. People are interested in music and sports. That's what's leading their lives. There's too many other major problems out there that need solution for your grandkids' sake. Okay.
Now this next page kind of goes along with what we were talking about, the STOP system that you've used before.
But most important, 15 minutes, that's number 1. 15 minutes each night to schedule the next day. So when you get up, you know what you're going to do. That's very important. And that's about all you need there. But this gets a little more complicated there. All right, this is listening is central to success. One of the great professors that I brought into my sales meetings twice, and my dealer sales meetings, was this Dr. Lyman Steele at the University of Minnesota. He's the only one that taught listening, the skill of listening. Correspondence has to do with reading, writing, arithmetic, and talking, but nobody teaches listening. And listening is very, very important, and we've got things underlined. How well do you listen? The reason we give you papers so that we don't have to turn out the lights and you start writing, but you can't write as fast as you can hear. But the main things you got to do is start out that you know who's going to be talking, be up front so you can hear, make sure that you can interpret what he's talking about, and most of the people can't keep 25% by the next day. So that's why we don't tell you and have you write notes. We give you the notes so you can take them home, refresh your memory, teach them to your great-grandchildren. So these papers are very, very valuable.
And Lyman Steele is still teaching listening techniques. So if you Google or if you use the search engine of your choice, you can find Lyman Steele online, and he does teach classes today.
Wait a second. He's doing such a good job that Xerox hired him away from Minnesota. And he's just spending his time teaching the people of Xerox how to listen. The skill of listening, very, very important. On the back of that is just a little more. You can read all of that. It gets a little more complicated, but it's worth your time. And then on the, they have this page?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, the value moment of listening. What is it for me? Being concerned is with your best friend.
These are the numbered points about 2/3 of the way down the page.
Take them through that.
Number 1, the value moment of listening, what's in it for me, and being concerned as with your best friend. 51% of the responsibility is between the receiver and the sender, so judge the content, not the delivery, and take notes, different systems of notes depending on the sender and the situation. Do you want to go through all of these?
Well, prepare to report to someone in 48 hours.
So number 7.
And that makes you prepare. Maybe your boss will send you to represent the whole department, and you're going to give you 15 minutes to cover the important things. So take pencil and paper, very important. Okay. What else? Next one. Okay, number 3. Why don't you
about
read
halfway
that?
down the page, Roman numeral 3. How to develop this listening skill. So qualify what you're hearing. 6 questions to ask yourself. Who's talking? What can I learn? Where can I use it? When can I use it? Why is he talking? And how well did I listen? So asking questions and taking notes can help you define all of that.
Okay, I think we covered that, okay. Okay, this is friction within a company. Now, it's not only friction within a company, it's friction within your family. And there's some important things here that you've got to do. You want to read some of that? For 30 years?
The part that, for 30 years, our company's reputation...
No, I don't need that.
Okay, I was going to say, you told me to start with the next paragraph, which starts with, I've found that the best lubricant for eliminating friction is to get people involved talking to each other. So here are some repeated resolutions that can be applied in personal or business activities. Don't underestimate the effect that internal friction can have on service to customers or relationships within a family. So communication is important, and it's going to affect other things. Conflicts or friction come in all sizes, from sly remarks to name-calling to bodily damage or a strike, which grinds everything to a halt. Avoiding or compromising conflicts usually delays a crisis. Dr. Chris Argyris at Harvard teaches that openness and trust with participation and commitment are the greatest motivators of people. So get them talking to each other through a meeting of all parties involved. So kind of some conflict resolution, get people talking to one another.
Dr. Chris Argyris from Harvard was a great resource that I spent a whole week with. And I tried to practice that. Let people know in advance. If it's not strategic that you can't let it out, that's one thing. But if you can tell them you're going to move their desk from here to there, don't let them come in the next day and find their desk is moved out in the hall. Tell them in advance why and why you're doing these things. And I got better cooperation from my people. Okay.
And letter C, maintain a positive attitude to determine what can be done, not what can't be done, with solutions coming from the people involved. And it is our, not we or they, but our customers, our field salesmen, and our plant. So helping people maintain some ownership. And then on the back of that sheet, letter C, under number 6, watch what you say, even if what you say is right, your way of putting it may annoy others and make the problem harder to solve. I know people like that.
And this has to do with mindsets. People have mindsets. Go ahead.
Under number 7, lucky 7, A to Z alphabet of thoughts. These are one-liners, but there are about 5 here that Norman wanted me to point out to you. So letter A, behavior affects us all as individuals and our relationship with others. Letter C, good people can be driven out or made useless. Letter L, learn to choose between different shades of gray, not black or white. So a little compromise, never hurt.
One of the great mindsets is snakes are bad, and the good cowboys wear white hats, and the bad cowboys wear black hats. You all remember that from television, don't you? That's not always true.
So when are snakes not bad?
Huh?
When are snakes not bad?
They do a lot of good. They eat up the mice.
Okay. I don't like mice either, so that's
Well,
good.
you should thank God
That's
you got
right.
snakes.
Thank God for snakes. Letter Q, admit mistakes frankly and promptly. Letter W, changes in a plan bring criticism, so explain why as soon as possible. And letter Z, respect is the only lasting emotion. Earn it, maintain it, and value it, which we heard a little while ago.
That's very, very important. Respect is the only lasting emotion. Above all, keep your sense of humor.
Good advice. So selecting and motivating people is our next sheet.
Okay, now this one, I developed a lot of this stuff other than what I got from YPO seminars and the greatest resources. But the best here was selecting and motivating of people. Dr. Ben Trago. No, that wasn't Ben Trago. This was another one. He gave me the ideas of you can really select and motivate people. Now they tell you in all investments, the past history is not any replica of what's going to be, but for sure, if you're going to hire a maid, don't you want to call their references? But when you call their reference, that reference, they're only going to give you good references when you talk to them. But make them feel at ease so that they're talking to you, and go through these things here that start with, I put down what I think the value is. Most people think education is 50%.
This is in the center of the page, under age, health, appearance, character, the number of
1
points.
through 7. I put it in at 5%. I put stability is very, very important, and that's 15%. Experience is 20%. Intelligence, thinking on your feet, is 15%. Values, you can change people's behavior. Like I can change my behavior to check detail. Christy, I'll tell you how I check detail, but I hate it, but I can do it. But values don't change. And you have what they call the Spranger 6 values down at the bottom. After the basics of food, clothing, shelter, and sex, they include theoretical, interest in truth and knowledge, aesthetic, interest in form and harmony, economic, oriented toward what is useful, social, altruistic, and philanthropic, political, oriented toward prestige and power, religious, unity, and order. So those are the Spranger that I learned about. And I developed the full house, which is 3 C's and 2 B's. I want to know if they're credible. I want to know if they're capable. I want to know if they're cooperative. And then I need to know if they've got brains and if they're bold. So that's 3 C's and 2 B's. That's a full house, you know.
And that's not written anywhere here, so if you're looking for that, sorry.
Okay, where are we going now?
So we're going over to the next page, and you wanted to talk about, did you want to go through the T for theoretical?
No, we already did that.
We already did that, okay,
Yeah.
good.
When you finish all 6 letters across with that person scoring each value, it will probably be that person's first experience of self-evaluation will be reasonably correct. Normally I have a written, next paragraph, I have a written word association test, which I learned how to give in about 5 minutes, but I do not completely trust tests. That is why I verify through the oral interview. But those are good tips on how to do it.
So how do you do the word association test?
Huh?
How do you do the word association test?
You go through these kind of things here that I just did.
Oh, okay.
The percentages and stuff.
Okay, on page 1, all right.
But on the next page, do they have this creativeness 1 through 13?
Yes? Yeah,
Okay,
the
well,
third page of that handout.
You can read them. We've covered some of it already.
Mm-hmm.
And be sure when you call the reference that they gave you, you get a reference from that reference. And you might be surprised. They may not work out in your environment. They may have everything right, but they can't work out in your environment. And then the last page, I guess, is always try to be pleasant, okay? And you should know something more about that after you call references. Okay, we go on to creativity. We're doing pretty good time.
We're doing great. Doing well.
Okay, Charlie.
Okay, Edgar.
Okay, creativity. Dr. Parnas at Buffalo University was my great resource on creativity. And in fact, he's one of our 44 endowments.
And his information is at letter E on this handout.
Pencil and paper. Start with pencil
Okay,
and paper.
so letter B on this, and Dr. Parnas, as I said, is listed under letter E if you want more information about him. But going back to the top, letter B, pencil and paper is the most powerful tool for creativity and better listening. It's better than live experimentation, develops mechanics for the brain to be trained, requires more effort, more lasting. So you think that's better than typing on a keyboard, huh? Forces slowing
Well, but
down.
If you've got it written down, you can pick up if you get interrupted, and you can go on. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. But the most important about the pencil and paper, have you all done brainstorming? Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and finish that.
Okay, so under letter
Inability to
C,
concentrate.
creative thinking, tool number two, excuse me. The development of new ideas which will satisfy expressed or implied needs. Creative thinking is within the capability of most persons in varying degrees, but is rarely used because of the 11 points you see there. Inability to concentrate, inadequate motivation, mental laziness, lack of curiosity, shallowness of thought, etc. And then on letter E, down towards the bottom, and these are some of the principles for brainstorming, I think you were saying. Stay loose, so don't get locked into any idea right away. Deferred judgment, you know, as people throw ideas out onto the table, don't judge them immediately. Get them all out there before you do that. And extended effort produces more originality after the common, what you already know sort of thing.
Okay, wait a second there. You can brainstorm by yourself with a pencil and paper, or you can have your committee just writing on the bulletin board. Keep putting down the ideas. Stay loose. Don't prejudge. When you get through with, you've exhausted everything, then go back and knock out the ridiculous things so that you can concentrate on that. And then I found that if I go to sleep after I do all that work, my subconscious mind will solve problems. And I think you probably remember that you woke up the next day and you had a dream, but you can't remember what the dream is. So I run upstairs and start writing right away. I don't want to lose it. And then that's this brainstorming on the next page. The wilder the ideas, and you exaggerate. But the main thing you've got to do, you've got to state the problem correctly. And you might say, how do I get rid of the mice, okay? Well, you could come up with things like poison them, you can trap them.
Get a cat.
Then exaggerate. It tells you here to exaggerate.
So that's where the snake
down there
comes
it
in.
says magnify, enlarge. Think about the mice are the size of elephants. So then you might say, how might I get rid of the mice? I might move and let the mice take over. That's another possibility, see? So state the problem correctly to produce more ideas and examples, and exaggerate the thing. That's what creativity is all about.
This reminds me of the television show House.
Huh?
Do you ever watch that show? Do you guys ever watch House? So brainstorming on a big sheet of paper, they write down all the solutions and then go back and eliminate the ones that, you know, might not work.
Where do they do that? Where?
It's a television show. I'm supposed to turn off the television,
Turn
so
off
I
the
haven't.
television.
I'm not complied with that either.
All right, go to the next page.
Sorry.
This is very important, the mind setting, We create, number 2, read them that thing.
The dynamics of mindsets, we create what we see. We create our reality. Everything we see, we are interpreting and filtering and making meaning out of. We make that meaning. Other people can make a different meaning out of the same events. That meaning becomes truth and therefore reality to them, especially if they don't check it out with others or let in other possibilities. One example, we see someone crying, we know, quote unquote, that they're sad. We go over to console them only to find out that they're weeping for joy. So this is kind of the whole perception versus reality thing that we've all heard about. Things are not always what they seem.
We all have mindsets, even
right.
the Irish.
Even the Irish. First the Charlie McCarthy thing, and then the Irish. Okay.
I'll go down and read 4.
Number 4, mindsets can limit what we see. If we believe something is true, we seek out evidence to verify that truth. We also, consciously or unconsciously, tend to ignore information that would challenge the reality that we hold to be true. Examples, look at the data that various economists choose to use or ignore to make the point that the economy is going to go the way that they predict. Number 2, if I believe a problem is impossible to solve, I'll be unable to see a solution. And number 3, I can love my child so much that I refuse to see early warning signs of drug abuse, for instance. And then number 5, the same data can give rise to more than one reality, and there are examples there also at the bottom of the page that you can read.
Yeah, read the example.
You want me to read the examples?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, people can look at Ed Muskie crying in New Hampshire and say, 1, A, great, I want him as president as he's a real human being. Or B, I don't want that weakling as my president. Number 2, see the economist's example above, the same available data, entirely different interpretations. And then flipping over to the next page, number 7, we tend to hold on to what we know or like. So when we have a particularly nice belief that serves us very well, we're extremely reluctant to admit that it might not be the whole truth. Example, number 1, we hold on to the view of our kids or our parents as being such wonderful people, even as they go off the deep end into abuse, drug use, or alcoholism. So again, perception and reality can be very different. And then page 4, your creativity exercises, some ways visually that you can see that perception and reality may not be the same thing.
Like, look at that fork truck, the fork there. Do you see 2 or 3? Do you see a wine glass? Or do you see 2 people getting about ready to kiss? Or what about this old lady? Do you see the hag facing you, or do you see the young lady there? Acute awareness increases input to the brain for later recall. And then this guy down here, I've just made the most wonderful discovery. He turned over the nails and he's sleeping on the other side now. So brainstorming to generate ideas. And then this is a good one. Don't read that.
Oh, the vote for Sam Steele. And I guess Sam is a petite man. And it says, just don't make any personal appearances until after the election.
Yeah.
Because apparently he has a very strong chin. And that makes for good politics.
All right, and then here's my plan. Look at that. Extended effort gives best thoughts after usual response. That's a pretty good sheet. Okay, my legacy to you. Principles to achieve financial independence. Okay, the book out there by Yes You Can Achieve Financial Independence by Mr. Stowers. Do we have them?
We don't have that book tonight.
Oh, God, we got to get that.
But they are available online.
Okay.
But not for $10, which we would sell it to
Mr.
you.
Stowers, you know, sold the bought the Menorah Hospital, tore it down, built the Stowers Institute. He and his wife have lunch every day with peanut butter sandwiches. And that's how they amassed a fortune and were able to give $5 billion to build the Stowers Institute. When they go overseas, they take jars of peanut butter with them. And they still are that way. So they paid cash for everything, and they came up, this book of his, we got to get that book back. That's a classic. It's never too late. I hear a lot of people say, I should have sent you my envelopes so that I could have gotten your knowledge about what you're doing in the first paragraph. What's changing? What are you doing? It's never too late. If you're at age 56, he says if you put away at the age of 20, $1.57. You all got this? You follow me? My legacy to you up there? This is his. $1.57 a month times 12 months times 45 years to age 65. You will have put in $848 and you'll have $524,000. If you wait till you're 40, you have to put in $31 a month. 12 months, 25 years, that's $9,000 to have the same 524. At the age of 60, it's still not too late. You have to put away $1,131 a month times 12 times 5 years is $67,000, but it'll provide the $524,000. I try to teach, and then he gives the value of the dollar. The big problem you have in investing is not how well you invest. You've got to take care of the 3.1% inflation that has been in existence in the last 61 years of the Dow Jones. So you've got to cover that. And how many advisors that you go to will say, we'll make up that 3.1% and our 5% commission. We will give you a goal of 10% a year. No, they don't do that. They charge you going in, they charge you going out, and that's what this Adam Bolt's book is all about. They're working for themselves, not for you. They get commission going in, commission going out. So I try to teach young people, if they would just, the ones here in school, or they're 30 years old or less, they've got 30 years, they got time on their side. And you got $50 a month invested at the way I recommend, and I've been making 20% per year annualized over the last 5 years, even counting going through the terrible year of 2008. And Adam Bolt says, don't let that affect your future investing. Take it as it is, and inflation won't crop up real quick. It'll still maintain at about 3.1, so you can take advantage. You can make moves then at that time. But if you go ahead and put $50 a month for 30 years, you will have put in $18,000, and at 20% annualized, that's different than combined. Be careful that you don't take combined percentages. And that's joining years together. This is per year annualized, 20%, unheard of. I don't know anybody that can do that. But I've been able to do that, and that it'll be worth the $18,000 that you invested at 30. At the age of 60, you'll have $1 million. A little bit over a long period of time, watching your investment every month. You can't buy and hold. Some people get onto them like their kids. They can't get rid of their kids. They can't get rid of their bad buys. You've got to look at it and make decisions. And I tell you what I'm doing in the first part of my article every month. I don't invest in mutuals without a 3-year history. That's number 11. I do not invest more than $100,000 in any one mutual fund. I stay fully invested. I can't guess. That's number 1. Number 4, I do not rely on investment advisors if they're so smart. Why do they have to work? My first mentor, or YPO, one of them, was 1970 with Sir John Templeton. He invented the mutual fund industry. He sold out his the 20th century, which I got into and then I got out of when he left. He went down to the Bahamas and he invests. He now has a fortune that he gives away $500 million from his earnings every year to not-for-profits. And that's what I've been trying to do with Elaine and my money. We make more than we give out, and building up uh, uh, these not-for-profits.
You know, we're getting close to time for questions.
Okay,
So if you all
6.
have questions you'd like to write on those cards and pass them to an usher, this would be a great time to do that.
Yeah, and put your name and telephone number in case I don't get to it. Number 6, I believe most people will outlive their retirement funds with no Social Security or Medicare or company pension plan. If you retired at age 65, inflation is the big problem. And now, this year, the year 2010, you have an opportunity to turn over your IRA to a Roth IRA. Check with your CPA. It could be a big saving. You'll never pay taxes. And your heirs will not pay taxes. Your grandkids that you leave money won't pay taxes on a Roth IRA. So check that out with your CPA. I do believe you should pay off bad debt, credit cards, before saving to invest monthly for dollar cost averaging. Do it by the month. You'll earn 20% more that way. Home mortgages are good debt as interest and real estate taxes are deductible and home values have been appreciating until now, but they're going to come back. Okay. On the back I talk about you can read it yourself, how I invented in the year 2000, I invented weighted scores, and then I invented average rank. And the average rank is what's important. Go to so the main thing is take these papers and study them and pass them on. Talk to your family. Have a meeting with them. Give them the papers for the great-grandchildren. All right, the Polsky Family Supporting Foundation is unique. Basically, it's this. We give $50,000 to the Polsky Family Supporting Foundation within the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation to match. They have to match it, though, and it has to be a worthwhile cause. We just went into it for the blind people. Ed Marquette will talk about that. They have to have a good mission. They have to sign an agreement that they will accept I can't tell them to take my investment advice, but I can recommend for me and my successor, and I've already got successors. Milton Broad is sitting in the audience. He's the consultant for M&D Management. That's Morgan Dreises and kids and grandkids. And he's got a lot of world of knowledge. And he's going to be my successor for all of this. And then Mark Allison over at Midwest Trust. And I'm sure glad I got rid of Fidelity because I get all kinds of service from Mark Allison. I don't know if he's here tonight, but he does me a lot of service, gives me information, and he can push a button and tell me how much cash I got in each one of my 44 endowments and why do I have so much cash. Right now I'm going to cash because I don't know what's going to be with this economy. And then the other thing is they have to send me a report every year by my birthday, January 31st. Most grantors don't do that. On the back is that simple accounting form that they have to send in. 501c3s that you people are giving money to, grantors are getting smart. I started matching back when Joel died in 1982 with 4, and now most people do matching. It's a very common thing. And they're going to start requiring reports, and they got to keep from spending for 5 years so that the 50,000 they put in, 50,000 we do is 100. At 20% compounding, it becomes 300,000, or they have 60,000 to spend on a budget, something they couldn't put in their budget project. But if it's 10,000, they got to only take 5,000 from us, and they got to get somebody else to give them 5,000. So that's matching again. Everything's matching. I only help those that help themselves. So this is my whole thing on why I like mutuals and how I choose mutuals, and it's that average rank that's very important. If you turn over, you'll see that things like ING Russia is 2.5. The lower it is, the better it is. It was the year before, on November, it was 30th, it was 2.5. But back in '08, when we had the terrible year, it jumped clear up to 21, but it's earned its wealth back to 2.5. The lower, the better. And you can also go across and look for the 5 years, and you can see they did 19.7 for 5 years annualized, or the one above it, Brazil, 31% over 5 years. The next one, Evergreen, that's gold and precious metals, 20.4. The average on the big five that I have is 21%. And up there at the Dow Jones, or the S&P 500, which is my benchmark, they only have a 0.4% annualized. And there's how I figure the weighted scores. I do it for you. I set up automatically how important is the old long term. 1 year is worth a 1. And 5 is the most. I learned this from Dr. Ben Trago on problem solving. Number 2, 1 year is 2, a weight of 2. 3 years is a weight of 5, and 5 years is a weight of 3. They have 8 out of the 11 is old long term. Whereas then I came into the new short term, and the year to date is only 2, and is 2 instead of 1, and 1 year is 5. I could have made it a 4, but I made it a 5. 7 out of the 11 is short term. So then on the back of that other sheet that I gave you, I had my average rank, and I showed you how I did the ranking by using LATRX. That's Russia. So right now my main ones are those big five, and down below are the ones I've sold. I did try to go into stocks. Garmin, they keep doing good, and then their stock goes down. Or CGM Focus, I got out of it. It's got 11.5. So you see, this is how I pick up by the average rank is what's important. Next thing is what? Oh, that's all?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay,
So shall we take some questions now?
Okay.
Okay.
This is Christy McDaniel. I'm very proud of her, and Emily's been promoted by Willoughby.
I like these stamps.
And so is Joe Sopcich. He's sitting over here. The whole foundation department. I'm so proud to have them help me with this Polsky series. Okay.
Now, somebody just brought up their own self-addressed stamped envelopes. Tell people why that you'd like people to do that.
I want, what do you call it, forever stamps. See, these stamps.
But these are really fun stamps.
That's 44 cents. I don't want fun. I have to now, a year from now, they'll be charging 50 cents the first post.
No, that'll never happen.
Oh, yes, they got to cut out a lot of waste they're going to cut out Saturdays.
Now, tell people why you want self-addressed stamped envelopes.
For self-addressed stamped envelope with forever stamp. The first paragraph tells you what I'm doing. If you want to follow what I'm doing, go ahead. Okay? I can only tell you that.
And that way you'll get this report four times a year.
Whenever I used to turn them out by the quarter.
This report.
Today things are moving so fast that I have to turn them out sometimes by the month. And I tell people what I'm doing.
Okay, so some questions for you.
Okay.
The first is, please explain what is meant by the aha moment when listening.
That's a brainstorm. You've got an idea. That's an aha. Put it down on paper right away before you forget it.
A question for you, too, about your company. Why did you choose chairs?
Chairs, because people got to sit down. And I figured multi-purpose chairs. I've invented classic chairs. I sold the biggest job before I sold out. Incidentally, I gave $1 million of my sellout to my employees, depending upon how long they were there and what kind of salary they were making compared to the rest of the people. And the chairs, I took my competitor's chair that was really selling, and I improved on it with this creativity and this engineering I have and so forth. But I also had helpers with me. And what do you need in stacking chairs? Because rooms are getting to be too expensive, $100 a foot. And they convert a meeting room to a prayer room or into all kinds of activity. And my chairs can stack up. I sold 8 million of one of my chairs, the Astro chair. And Orlando Convention chair, I sold them 60,000. It's the biggest chair job, stack chair, gang chair job in America. But you've got to take from your competitors and improve on it, and so forth. So that's why I got into stacking chairs. I saw the possibility of the buildings are costing too much money. They got to have conversion of the rooms, multipurpose rooms.
Well, you mentioned George Owens as one of your mentors,
Yeah,
and somebody asked, who most greatly affected your life and why?
Oh, that's a lot of things. Your spouse, your partner, has got to be that. He was my mentor, got me into YPO, and there's been people all along. Bob Rainier, the banker, he's one of my trustees. Peggy Dunn is one of my trustees. They have all, we are in 44 endowments, and each endowment has about 10 very important people in this city or wherever. And so we're getting recognition for what we're doing, trying to help not-for-profits be successful. And the next seminar with, he was blind from 12 years old, and he's going to talk about how technology can be used to help handicapped people. He's going to talk about how important 501c3s. We have 12,000 of them right in Kansas City. Did you know that? They all need money. They're spending more. They're like the United States government. They spend first, and then they have no budget. They can't meet their expenses. In fact, I've had some of them go out of business because they couldn't meet their payroll. That's how bad they're running the thing. They don't use time management. They don't use
Your system.
my articles.
Okay. Here's a tip for you. Rice milk is mostly carbohydrates, so you should try almond milk instead.
I do. But rice milk and almond are two of this dietitian recommends.
Okay.
But not 1% milk or any of that.
Okay. Thank you for that tip. And here's a question. How do I protect my savings from life disaster, such as hospital bills, divorce, or taxes?
You've got to put it away every month, a little bit every month over a 30-year period, and build that nest egg. Do it by the month. Automatically take it out of your checking account, going into one of these best things like the Matthews China. Call them up and tell them you want a Roth IRA set up. If you qualify, you have to have earned income of $600 or whatever. You can put in as much as $5,000 a year if you're up to 50 years old, or over that you can put $6,500 a month, and boy, you'll have $10 million. But
Well,
build your nest egg. Quit spending. Cut out the music. Cut out the
television.
tickets. They go down here to Sprint and pay $100 a ticket.
Have you been in there, though?
Yes, and you
Pretty
can't get to
nice.
the toilets. You got the toilets way on the other side.
Okay, we're going to move on. Would you say that these investments are safe investments? I think that might be part of the question that was asked, is how do you keep the money
Midwest
safe?
Trust has that Mark Allison handles $5 billion. He's got a FCI bond fund. It pays 5.38%, and it's safe by Lippert with a 5 rating. Now, if you can't do anything, go get into that. That's safe. But you got to worry about 3.1% inflation, so you got to do better than that, or you'll go no place. And it's going to get worse with what this. I heard someplace that the spending here I don't know how the grandkids are going to pay it. It's in the trillions. It's greater. I heard this figure. It's greater than all the presidents going back to the Revolutionary War. My God, we paid for World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Revolutionary War, and this is all greater. Where's it going to come from? From the doctors, the hospitals, and the insurance companies.
Okay, now you're getting into politics.
Yeah,
again.
let's get out of
You're not
politics.
supposed to do that. What resources do you use to find out about what's going on in Washington, the things that you're talking about? If TV is something you shouldn't spend a lot of time on, what's your resource?
Get on to Channel 60, which is, and you know that Obama won't even let the U.S. News come to his press sessions. Did you know that?
He won't let who come?
U.S. News, the Channel 60, they can't come because they knock them.
Well, maybe he turned off his television. But do you have newspapers you like to read or articles that you look for?
Yeah, but number one, what the government should give us, freedom is not free, but they should give us survival. They should protect us against another 9/11. They should protect us against the things, the flood. They should protect us against those kind of things. Security is the most important. But I just had a Marine come back. No, he was in the Army. He's a triplet, and he told us what's going on with the service people over there. Their hands are being tied. It's too bad. Okay.
Here's somebody that asks if they should buy gold and how much of their portfolio should be in
I
gold.
got that evergreen. It's got gold, it's got diamonds, it's got precious minerals and all that.
So that's one of your big
And
five, right?
And that's that, and what has it got for a thing, evergreen?
Oh,
It's,
3.5?
Right here, 7.0.
7.0, okay.
So I'm in all of those big five. Icon Energy. I wish he would have concentrated on energy. Every president has said they're going to break us of the habit of drinking that oil.
Here's a question about, do you think that past business and investment formulas still stand with regard to the national debt and bankruptcy of current entitlement programs
There's got to
happening
be
now?
controls. They went crazy. In 2008, I told my people get into cash. And then I told them again, and I happened to hit it at the right time. I usually don't try to guess the market. But now I'm saying get back, instead of the big five, get into the big six. Get into that FCI bond fund, 1/6 of your investments, and 1/6 of each of these five. And you'll be ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. And stick to it.
Based on your YPO experience, is there anything you would have done differently, looking back on your business career?
No, I'm sure glad I took advantage of it. I've got papers here that last September, I gave out what it takes to be successful. And that was my last presentation. This is my last presentation.
I think maybe you'll be back next year.
The YPO was great, but they kick you out at 50. You're an old man.
Tell us about your employees. How many people have you managed during your lifetime?
400.
And when you sold your business, you were saying you had passed on some of the...
Took $1 million and gave it to them, and they ran my business into the ground. They used me as an advisor, but they never called me.
Well, I'm sorry I brought that up. Is there anyone that you've served as a mentor for? You mentioned the mentors you valued.
A lot of the people that I send, I got letters from people about the Polsky series. I got them about my investing. I get lots of thank yous. One of the greatest thank yous I got, we set up in Israel, right below Jerusalem, is American Independence Park, and we have the Joel Polsky Sports Complex, and it's been a continuous war over there. But anyway, the last one with Hezbollah and all that, and the rockets, we have They showed me pictures of kids holding up signs, "Thank you, Polsky, for getting us out of the bomb shelters up north and the rockets." Isn't that nice? Now, that's a good thank you.
When do you think the economy is going to make a turnaround?
Right now, with the spending of money is what's, where's it going to come from? I don't know. But there's got to be changes in the whole economic thing. They took advantage of people. There were all kinds of gimmicks, and that, what's his name that went to prison? Ponzi guy.
Oh,
Yeah. And we got to
Madoff,
stop.
thank you.
We got to
Madoff,
stop
Bernie Madoff.
keeping old people alive. They're costing too much money. And then there's, and I'm talking about even, I'm 86, my wife's 84. She's at Village Shalom. Thank God I put her there. And we got to stop building prisons. We have somebody that killed 3 people and 3 women in Kansas City, and their trial comes up 10 years later. In the meantime, they're sitting in a prison. We keep building new prisons. We can't do that. We've got to, you take the attitude of life for a life. Well, what the heck? Somebody that murders somebody, you can't, or shoot them up in the moon, let them float around.
Are there other questions that you have for Norman?
You mean I don't have to call anybody?
I guess not. Now, there's some phone numbers on here just in
You did a
case.
good job. I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you. You too.
I really want you to buy this book. It's out there right now. It's the book I was going to write. And he's going to give you good advice there. And that book there, I found it, and you can buy it for $10. Your father, your grandfather would love that book. Truman did major things. He did the Marshall Plan. We tore down Germany, Italy, and Japan. Oh, incidentally, when I had fixtures, I had the 3 axes for my partners. I had an Italian, I had a German, and I had an Italian and a German and a Japanese. I had 3 partners. We exchanged products and so forth. And things have to change. You cannot continue to keep people alive and build prisons. You can't afford it.
But meantime, go out and have a snack, have a cookie or some punch, and enjoy talking with your friends.
Okay.
And we will see you for next Polsky series on April the 7th. Thank you all for coming. And turn in your green cards. Turn in your green cards.